Okay, now that we have our scripts edited in the script editor, or using an external editor as well or not, however we have done it, now we need to execute the scripts. So we mentioned before the various types we can do it, and so we'll cover those, and then we'll get into running or executing the scripts from the command line. So let's just start here from the scripts menu, which we had already said that if you have it the display control checked there, that you can execute it from the scripts menu, and you just go up and say scripts and then select it from the menu. Easy peasy. From the script selector, we described the script selector, but we didn't show it, and so here we'll show that you go Tools, Script Selector, Default, and that will bring up the script selector that has all the scripts, just script buttons. They're just buttons with the script names on it for all the ones that have shown script selector selected. Let me just mention that we do have to go show Tool Script Selector and then Default, because again the script selector is used in other applications and other contexts, and in some of those contexts it has multiple script selectors you could use. In HEC-DSSVue we only have the one, so we just say just use the default one. So that's another artifact of having this used in more than one context. And then finally we mentioned that if it was shown on the display control display script on Toolbar is selected, that we can simply go up and click it on the toolbar and it will execute. I mentioned previously that if you didn't have any of these set, you can run it from the script editor, and you can always do that whether it's set anywhere else or not. If any of the display controls are set or not, you can always go run it there. However, if none of the display controls are set, this is the only way you can execute your script. Okay, that pretty much just ties in with what we talked about in the last session. No big surprises there. So now let's talk about executing scripts from the command line. And there are two main ways to execute from the command line. And from the command line, I mean you have a command prompt up and you type in stuff and it runs. You can also have this set up as a shortcut that you can click on. But the two ways you do it, you use either jython.exe or jython.bat, and those files both live in the installation directory of HEC-DSSVue. So if you're going to run it, you need to be in that directory, and then you can type jython.exe or jython.bat, followed by the script name and its full script name, whatever the path is, and then followed optionally by any arguments that you want to pass into the script. And any arguments you pass in will be available in the variable sys.argv inside the script, and so you can use that. Now, if you use jython.exe, you might wonder why we have both of those listed. And the reason is because they behave differently. If you are in a command prompt window and you type jython.exe with or without a script name, but let's just say you're typing it with a script name and maybe arguments, what it will do is it will start a new window which will start executing the script, but the window will return immediately back to, the command prompt will return to you immediately before the script is complete. And so it runs a script in a different window. This can be a problem if you're trying to run using batch files where you say jython this script, jython that script, and you want them to execute sequentially, because what it will do, it will not execute them sequentially. It will fire each of them off in their own window and they'll run at the same time. That's a great thing to do if that's what you want. So if you had several scripts that you wanted to run and they don't depend, none of them depend on the outcome of any of the others, you could run them all at the same time, basically using jython.exe. You can just put the lines in the batch file and run them all at once. The difference is in jython.bat, if you type jython.bat followed by the script and maybe arguments, it will run the script, but the command prompt will not return to you until after the script is complete. So if you have multiple scripts you want to run and they need to be run in sequence, and you're creating a batch file to run them, you want to use jython.bat to run each of them inside of your batch file. If you use jython.exe, it'll fire them all off at once. If you use jython.bat, it will wait for each one to exit before starting the next one. Okay, so let's look at this a little bit. Here we have a command line, and you'll notice that we're in the DSSVue directory. It's actually the previous version and the one we're using in this workshop. But I say jython.exe, and there's a directory of my script that's called hello.py, and I'm passing it ABC. And as soon as I hit that, it returns to me, and it ran in another window. I don't see any output because it started another window, and that's where the output went. If, however, I do the same thing in this command window, but using jython.bat with the same script and parameters, you see that I do see the output in this window, and the command prompt doesn't return to me until it finishes. So in jython.bat, it ran the script in this window. Now, I also can run jython.exe or jython.bat without a script. Why would you want to do that? So the reason you might want to run Jython as an interpreter without a script is to get an interactive session. Interactive sessions are useful for trying out, hey, does this syntax work? Is this what I want to do? So you can type it in at the interpreter prompt, and it will give you something back immediately. So we're not going to cover using interactive sessions, but if you want to start one, if you start one with jython.exe, it fires off a new window. And so we see the new window here, jython.exe started an interactive session in another window. If instead we type jython.bat, we see the output of the interpreter coming back to this window, and it started an interactive session here. Now, for either interactive session type, whether it started in a new window via jython.exe or in this window via jython.bat, if you want to exit that, of course you can always click the X on the command prompt window, but a little nicer way is to enter the exit function or press Control Z at the interactive prompt, and it will exit. Okay, that was a pretty mild session, not too involved, and next session we'll talk about testing and debugging our scripts.